Right now, at this very moment, a monster winter storm is barreling toward the eastern half of America. And if you re-in its path, the next 72 hours could change everything. I am talking about power outages lasting more than a week, ice accumulations that will snap trees like toothpicks, snowfall that could bury entire neighborhoods. This is not a drill, this is happening. And by the time you finish watching this, you'll know exactly what is coming for your area. Here's what we know for certain. The European weather model, the most accurate predictor for this storm, is showing something we haven't seen in over a decade. 2 separate catastrophic ice zones, multiple feet of snow across a 1,000-mile path, and a timing so precise that some neighborhoods will get buried while others just 20 miles away see rain. That's the razor-thin margin we were dealing with. And I'm going to show you exactly where that line falls in just 90 seconds. But first, let me tell you what's at stake. Power companies are already pre-positioning repair crews. Emergency management agencies in 15 states have activated their crisis response teams. The National Weather Service is using words like devastating and historic. And they don't use those words lightly, because when you combine heavy ice with winds gusting to 40 miles per hour, you get a formula for widespread infrastructure collapse. Trees will fall, power lines will snap, and millions of people could be sitting in the dark with temperatures in the teens. Here's your first major revelation at 30 seconds. The storm has 2 phases. Phase 1 hits Saturday night into Sunday. That's when the ice storm reaches its peak intensity across the Mid-South. Phase 1 will impact Arkansas, Louisiana, Mississippi, Tennessee, and Kentucky. Phase 2 arrives Sunday into Monday. That's when the Northeast gets hammered with potentially record-breaking snowfall. Boston, New York, Philadelphia, Washington, D.C. You are all in the crosshairs, and I'll break down the exact timing for each city in just a moment. But here is what nobody else is telling you. The computer models shifted dramatically in the last 24 hours. Areas that were forecasted to get 2 feet of snow just 2 days ago are now looking at rain and ice instead. And other areas that weren't even on the radar are now facing blizzard conditions. This is why you can just check the forecast once and forget about it. This storm is evolving. It's moving. And if you're not staying updated, you're putting yourself and your family at risk. Let me paint you a picture of what Saturday night is going to look like. It's 1 in the morning. Heavy snow is already pounding Kansas, a thin band of mixed precipitation that sleet and freezing rain combined is forming over the Red River Valley. Dallas starts with cold rain, but within hours it transitions to freezing rain, and that when things get dangerous. Because freezing rain is the silent killer of winter storms. It doesn't look as dramatic as snow, but it's far more destructive. Now watch what happens next. That huge area of freezing rain expands rapidly into Arkansas, Louisiana, and Mississippi. On the backside of the storm, heavy snow intensifies across the Oklahoma and Texas panhandles, pushing into Kansas, Missouri, and Arkansas. And then the first major wave of heavy snow races past St. Louis into Kentucky, Indiana, and Ohio. Bowling Green, Kentucky gets pounded Saturday evening. Louisville, Kentucky up to Indianapolis. All getting a major snowfall. We talking 8 to 12 inches in a 6-hour window. But here's the twist. Just south of that heavy snow band, a devastating ice storm unfolds. West Tennessee, northern Mississippi, southern Arkansas, northeast Texas, northern Louisiana. This is ground zero for the worst ice accumulation. And it's not because of intensity, it's because of duration. These areas could see 12 hours or more of continuous freezing rain. 12 straight hours. Do you understand what that means? That means ice building up layer after layer after layer until tree branches can't hold the weight anymore, until power lines snap under the load, until roads become skating rinks. Here's a number that should shock you. Close to 1 inch of ice accretion near the Mississippi River. 1 full inch. Even 3/4 of an inch around Tupelo is catastrophic. The national blend of models, which is supposed to be conservative, is showing over 1/2 inch of ice all the way up into Middle Tennessee near Nashville, and this is the low-end forecast. Some individual models are showing even higher amounts. If you in the pink zones I am describing, you need to finalize your preparations today. Not tomorrow, today. Because by tomorrow, it might be too late. Now let us talk about the second ice zone. And this one catches people off guard because it's farther east. Northeast Georgia, Northwest South Carolina, the entire state of North Carolina, and a large portion of Virginia on the southeast side of the Appalachian Mountains. This area has something called cold air damming. Cold, dense air gets trapped against the mountains, and when warm, moist air rides up over that cold layer, you get freezing rain. Lots of it. More than half an inch of ice in a short period of time. Those hills are going to see trees crashing down everywhere, power lines going down. And when you lose power in the mountains during an ice storm, it can take weeks to restore, not days. Weeks. Here's what I need you to understand about ice storms. Snow you can shovel. Snow you can drive through if you are careful. Snow is manageable. But ice? Ice is a different beast entirely. Quarter-inch of ice can snap power lines. Half-inch of ice brings down tree limbs. 3/4 of an inch causes widespread damage. And a full inch? That's when you see catastrophic infrastructure failure. That S when entire communities go dark. That S when people start running generators in their garages, not knowing about carbon monoxide. That S when hypothermia becomes a real concern, especially for elderly residents living alone. Let me give you some perspective. The ice storm of 1994 that hit the Mid-South. Some areas were without power for 3 weeks. 3 weeks in February with no heat, no way to cook food, no way to charge phones. That storm dropped about an inch of ice in the hardest hit areas. This storm could match or exceed that in multiple locations. And we have more people living in those areas now than we did 30 years ago. More infrastructure that can fail, more trees that have grown up around power lines. But wait, there's more to this story. Because while the South deals with ice, the North is about to get absolutely buried in snow. Let me walk you through the snow forecast zone by zone, and I want you to comment below with your city name so I can give you a more specific forecast for your exact location. Because the difference between getting 6 inches and getting 16 inches could literally be 20 miles. That's how tight these gradients are. Let us start in the plains. Between Amarillo and Oklahoma City, 7 to 9 inches is the baseline. But there's going to be a band of higher totals somewhere in that zone. Could be 10 to 14 inches. The models just haven't locked in exactly where that band sets up yet. Wichita, Kansas, at least 8 inches. Kansas City could see 3 to 6 inches, but if the storm tracks a bit farther north, 8 inches is definitely possible. St. Louis, same story. 3 to 6 inches is likely, but 8 inches is on the table if we get that northern track. Jackson, Missouri, 10 inches. That is a lock. Springfield, Missouri, close to 10 inches as well. But notice how sharp the cutoff is on the south side. That S where ice and sleet start cutting into snow totals. Little Rock might only get 2 to 4 inches of snow, but also 2 to 4 inches of sleet, and then maybe a 1/4 inch of ice on top of that. That S actually worse than a foot of snow. It's harder to clear. It's more dangerous to drive in. And it's heavier, which means more stress on roofs and power lines. Memphis, same situation, maybe 4 to 6 inches of snow mixed with sleet and ice. Nashville is right on that knife edge. 4 inches of snow is possible, but there's a really tight cutoff where rain, freezing rain, and sleet could cut those totals down significantly. It's very possible that Nashville gets 1 to 2 inches, while Clarksville, Tennessee, just 40 miles northwest, gets 3 to 6 inches. That's how precise this is going to be. And that cutoff line could shift 20 miles in either direction with the next model run. That's why you need to keep checking back for updates. Moving east, Lexington, Kentucky, close to 12 inches. Cincinnati, close to 12 inches. Columbus, 10 inches. Dayton, 10 inches. Indianapolis, 6 to 9 inches. These are solid forecasts. The models have good agreement here. This is where you're going to see some of the highest snow totals of the entire event. The Ohio River Valley is the bullseye. And then we get into the really tricky area, the Northeast Corridor. Washington, D.C., Baltimore, Philadelphia, New York City, Boston. This is the hardest place on Earth to forecast winter storms. And I am not exaggerating. There are so many competing factors. The Atlantic Ocean, the Great Lakes, high pressure from Canada, Gulf moisture, the Appalachian Mountains. It all converges right over this densely populated corridor. And it makes forecasting a nightmare. But here's what we know right now. If the current pattern holds, we are looking at 15 to 18 inches between Washington, D.C. and Boston. That would make this the biggest snowstorm for many locations in a decade. A decade. When's the last time you saw that much snowfall in Baltimore, in Philadelphia, in New York City? It's been a long time. The interior Northeast, places like Pennsylvania, upstate New York, Vermont, New Hampshire, Maine, you are golden. You are going to get a lot of snow, 8 to 16 inches widespread. The models have great agreement on that. But right along the coast, there's always a battle zone, a battle between cold air and warm air. If you end up on the cold side of that battle, you get historic snow. If you end up on the warm side, you get rain or sleet or a messy mix. Right now, it looks like most areas are going to stay cold enough for significant snow. Richmond, Virginia could see up to 9 inches, but you are close to that warm line, so it could be less. Washington, D.C., Hagerstown, Frederick, Maryland, over a foot of snow. That S looking very likely. Harrisburg, Allentown, Scranton, over a foot as well. Albany, Pittsfield, same story. And then the big cities, Boston, Hartford, New York City, Philadelphia, Baltimore. Right now, it looks like you are going to get significant snow, could be 8 to 14 inches depending on exact track. But I am not going to lie to you. There is still some uncertainty. The forecast models, the supercomputers, the experts, nobody can get this corridor exactly right until the storm is almost on top of us. It is just the nature of the geography. But significant winter storm with mostly snow, that S on the way. No question about it. Now here's something else you need to know, and this is critical. The timing. Because it's not just about how much snow or ice you get. It's about when you get it. Saturday night into Sunday morning, that S when the ice storm peaks across the south. If you need to travel, if you need to get supplies, if you need to get to a safer location, you need to do it Friday. By Saturday afternoon, it's too late. Roads will already be deteriorating. By Saturday night, they'll be impassable in many areas. For the Ohio Valley, heavy snow arrives Saturday evening and continues through Sunday. That S, your window of impact. Sunday morning, you're going to wake up to several inches already on the ground with more falling. Don T plan on going anywhere Sunday. For the Northeast, Sunday afternoon into Monday, that's your time frame. Sunday morning might still be okay. Sunday afternoon, conditions deteriorate rapidly. By Sunday night, major cities could be at a standstill. Monday morning commute, forget about it, it's not happening. Many schools and businesses will be closed, and that's the right call. Let me talk about preparation for a minute, because I am seeing a lot of people in the comments of my other videos who are not taking this seriously. And I need you to understand something. Emergency management is not about hoping for the best. It's about preparing for the worst. Even if the storm underperforms, even if the forecast changes, even if you end up not needing all your supplies, being prepared is never a waste, because the one time you don't prepare is the one time you are going to need it most. So here's what you need to do right now. Water. You need 1 gallon per person per day for at least 7 days. That's the minimum. If your power goes out, your well pump doesn't work. If the water treatment plant loses power, your tap water might not be safe. Food, non-perishable items that Don T require cooking. Granola bars, peanut butter, crackers, canned goods with pop tops, dried fruit. Think about foods you can eat cold if necessary. Because if you lose power, you lose your stove unless it's gas. And even then, you need power for the ignition on most modern stoves. Medications. Do you have a 7-day supply, 10-day supply? If you are on critical medications and you in one of the impact zones, call your pharmacy today. Get refills early if possible. Flashlights and batteries. Not just one flashlight, multiple flashlights. One for each family member. And fresh batteries. Check the expiration dates on the batteries you have. Dead batteries don't help anybody. First aid kit. Make sure it's stocked. Bandages, antibiotic ointment, pain relievers, any prescription medications, thermometer, a battery-powered radio. When the power goes out, your Wi-Fi goes out, your cell towers might go out. A battery-powered weather radio could be your only source of information. Blankets and warm clothing. Layers. You want to be able to layer up if your heat goes out. Multiple pairs of warm socks, hats, gloves, thermal underwear if you have it. If you have a fireplace and firewood, great. Make sure you have enough wood stacked and ready. If you have a generator, test it today. Run it for 15 minutes. Make sure it starts. Make sure you have fuel. And for the love of everything, never run a generator indoors or in an attached garage. Carbon monoxide kills. Every year, people die from this. Don T be a statistic. Charge everything, all your devices, phones, tablets, laptops, portable chargers, battery banks. Charge them all to 100% before the storm hits. Fill up your vehicle's gas tank. Even if you don't plan on driving, a full tank gives you options. You can sit in your car to warm up if needed. You can charge devices. You can evacuate if conditions become dire. Empty tank, you have no options. And one more thing, cash. ATMs don't work without power. Credit card readers don't work without power. Have some cash on hand, not a fortune, but enough to buy supplies or pay for emergency services if needed. Now, let me address something I'm seeing a lot of in the comments. People are upset because the forecast changed. A few days ago, models were showing 2 feet of snow in East Tennessee. Now they re-showing ice and rain instead. And some people think I control the weather models. Let me be very clear. I don't control anything. These are computer prediction models. They read based on mathematics and physics and atmospheric observations, and they change as we get new data. That is how forecasting works. 3 days out, there's a lot of uncertainty. 2 days out, less uncertainty. 1 day out, we have a pretty good idea. But there will still be small shifts. I told you days ago not to get emotionally attached to any specific forecast. Don T get married to a snow total. Don T assume the bullseye is locked in. Because in weather forecasting, especially with big complex storms, things change. The storm system moved north, then it started correcting back south. That's normal. It's frustrating, I know, but it's normal. The key is to stay flexible, stay informed, and prepare for a range of outcomes. If you near that rain-snow line, prepare for both. Have a plan if you get all snow. Have a plan if you get ice. Have a plan if you get rain. Here's something interesting that just came in. Some of the latest model runs are trending a little bit south again. After that big northward shift, we are seeing a slight correction back to the south. Does that mean snow comes back to East Tennessee? Maybe, maybe not. It's too early to say. But it does mean that areas right along the Ohio River, areas in southern Indiana, southern Illinois, southern Ohio, you might end up on the colder side of this, which means more snow, less ice. That is generally a better outcome. Snow is easier to deal with than ice, but we want to know for sure until tomorrow. Let me show you what the European AI Ensemble model is showing. This is one of my favorite models for these types of events because it does a good job of narrowing down the corridor. And what it is showing is a very sharp cutoff between snow and ice. Maybe a foot of snow between Oklahoma City and Bentonville, but only 1 to 2 inches in Dallas, only 3 inches in Memphis. But 11 inches in Mountain Home, Arkansas. See how tight that gradient is? That is a 100-mile distance with an 8-inch snow total difference. That's why local forecasts matter so much more than regional forecasts. In the Ohio River Valley, this model is showing a foot of snow in Lexington, Louisville, Madisonville, Cincinnati, Columbus, and Indianapolis, 8 to 9 inches. And right here in eastern Kentucky, right on that cutoff line again, the south side of Nashville could get 1 inch of snow, the north side could get 3 or 4 inches, Clarksville could get 5, Bowling Green could get 7. That is how sharp the cutoff is. And remember, that line can move 20 miles south, 30 miles north. We want to know exactly where it sets up until the storm is happening. That's the reality of mesoscale meteorology. For the Northeast, this model shows a more realistic distribution. The most significant snow totals a little bit inland from the coast, but still a decent thumping of snow in Washington, Baltimore, Philadelphia, New York, Boston. 8 to 12 inches is very much in play. Could some areas see 15 inches? Absolutely. Could some areas see 6 inches? Also possible. It depends on the exact track. It depends on the timing. It depends on how quickly cold air can drain down from Canada. There are a lot of moving pieces. Now, at the 5-minute mark, let me fulfill my promise. I'm going to give you state-by-state forecasts for the 30 largest states by population. This is what you've been waiting for. Comment below with your city, and I'll get you even more specific information. But here's the overview. California, you already sitting this one out. Enjoy your sunshine. No impacts from this storm system. Texas, North Texas, you on the southern edge. Dallas-Fort Worth area, ice is your main concern. 1/4 to 1/2 inch accumulation possible. Very dangerous driving conditions. Houston, Austin, San Antonio, no impacts. Oklahoma, western Oklahoma, heavy snow, 6 to 12 inches. Oklahoma City, 6 to 10 inches of snow with some ice mixing in. Eastern Oklahoma, transition to ice. Very dangerous situation. Arkansas, northern Arkansas, heavy snow transitioning to ice, 6 to 10 inches of snow, then ice accumulation. Central Arkansas, including Little Rock, major ice storm, 1/2 inch or more of ice accumulation. Power outages likely. Southern Arkansas, ice storm, prolonged freezing rain. Louisiana, northern Louisiana, catastrophic ice storm, 3/4 of an inch to 1 inch of ice possible. This is a historic event. Power outages for a week or more very possible. Southern Louisiana, no impacts. Mississippi. Northern Mississippi, catastrophic ice storm. Same situation as northern Louisiana. 3/4 of an inch ice. Widespread devastation expected. Southern Mississippi, minimal impacts. Tennessee. West Tennessee, major ice storm. Memphis area, mixed precipitation with significant icing. Middle Tennessee, Nashville is right on the line. Could be snow, could be ice, could be mix. Very uncertain. Eastern Tennessee, some snow and ice, but the big snow forecast from earlier in the week is not going to happen. Warm air moved in. Kentucky, western Kentucky, heavy snow, 8 to 14 inches. Ice concerns on the southern edge. Central Kentucky, including Louisville and Lexington, 10 to 14 inches of snow. This is the bullseye. Eastern Kentucky, right on the cutoff. 3 to 8 inches possible with ice concerns. Missouri, southern Missouri, 8 to 12 inches of snow. Kansas City area, 3 to 8 inches. St. Louis area, 4 to 8 inches. Could be higher if track shifts north. Illinois, southern Illinois, 6 to 10 inches of snow. Chicago area, minimal impacts, maybe 1 to 3 inches at most. Indiana, southern Indiana, heavy snow, 8 to 12 inches. Indianapolis, 6 to 10 inches. Northern Indiana, 3 to 6 inches. Ohio, southern Ohio, including Cincinnati, 10 to 14 inches. This is major snow. Columbus, 8 to 12 inches. Cleveland, 4 to 8 inches. Michigan, minimal impacts, maybe 2 to 4 inches in southern Michigan. Wisconsin, minimal impacts, light snow only. Minnesota, no impacts from this system. Iowa, eastern Iowa, 3 to 6 inches of snow. Kansas, eastern Kansas, including Wichita, 8 to 12 inches. Heavy snow. Nebraska, eastern Nebraska, 4 to 8 inches. South Dakota, North Dakota, no impacts. Now for the East Coast. Virginia, southwest Virginia, 8 to 12 inches of snow. Richmond area, 6 to 10 inches, but close to the rain-snow line. Northern Virginia, including D.C. suburbs, 12 to 18 inches possible. This could be the biggest storm in a decade. West Virginia, heavy snow statewide, 10 to 16 inches in many areas. Mountains could see 20 inches. Maryland, western Maryland, 12 to 18 inches. Baltimore area, 10 to 16 inches. Very significant storm. Pennsylvania, central and eastern Pennsylvania, 12 to 18 inches. Philadelphia area, 8 to 14 inches depending on exact track. Pittsburgh area, 6 to 10 inches. New Jersey, northern New Jersey, 10 to 16 inches. Southern New Jersey, 6 to 12 inches. Close to that rain-snow line. New York, upstate New York, 10 to 16 inches. New York City, 8 to 14 inches. Still some uncertainty on exact amounts. Long Island, 6 to 12 inches. Connecticut, 8 to 14 inches statewide. Very significant event. Massachusetts, including Boston, 10 to 16 inches. Major storm. Rhode Island, 8 to 14 inches. Vermont and New Hampshire, 12 to 18 inches. Excellent snow. Maine, 10 to 16 inches. North Carolina, mountains and northern Piedmont, major ice storm, 1/2 inch or more of ice. Catastrophic impacts expected. Raleigh area on the edge, could be ice, could be mixed. Charlotte area, ice concerns. Coastal areas, rain. South Carolina, upstate South Carolina, major ice storm, same as North Carolina mountains. Columbia area, ice possible. Coastal areas, rain. Georgia, North Georgia, including Atlanta suburbs, significant ice storm, 1/4 to 1/2 inch ice. Power outages likely. South Georgia, minimal impacts. Florida, no impacts. Now, you might notice I said 30 states, but I didn't cover all 50. That S because 20 states have little to no impact from this storm system. If I didn't mention your state, you are in the clear. But if you re in any of the states I just mentioned, pay attention. This is a multifaceted, dangerous winter storm. Ice in the south, heavy snow in the Ohio Valley and Northeast. Blizzard conditions possible in some areas. This is not a storm to take lightly. Let me talk about what happens after the storm, because the storm itself is just the beginning. The recovery could take weeks in some areas. Power companies are already mobilizing crews from other states. Hundreds of line workers are heading to the impact zones. But here's the problem. When you have ice storms over such a widespread area, there aren't enough crews to fix everything at once. Some areas will get power back in a day or two. Other areas might be waiting a week, maybe 2 weeks. That's the harsh reality. Road clearing is another major operation. Snowplows can clear snow relatively quickly. But ice requires salt or sand. And when temperatures stay below freezing for days after the storm, that ice doesn't melt. It just stays there. Roads in rural areas might not get cleared for 3 or 4 days. Secondary roads even longer. So even after the storm passes, travel could be difficult or impossible for days. Keep that in mind. Don T, plan on things getting back to normal on Tuesday. It's going to take time. Here's what I want you to do right now. Share this video with your family and friends who are in the impact zone. Make sure they know what's coming. Make sure they re-prepared. Check on your elderly neighbors. Do they have what they need? Do they have a plan if the power goes out? Can they get to a warming shelter if necessary? Community matters during events like this. We take care of each other. That's how we get through it. And comment below with your location. Tell me where you are. I am reading comments. I am responding to as many as I can. I want to make sure you have the specific information you need for your exact area because these storms are so localized. The difference between 6 inches and 16 inches can be 30 miles. The difference between rain and ice can be 15 miles. Local information matters. So tell me where you are, and I'll do my best to get you the most accurate forecast possible. Tomorrow, I'm releasing our final forecast map. That S when I am going to pick one model and say, this is the one I think is most accurate. This is the forecast to bank on. But until then, stay flexible. The storm is still evolving. Models are still adjusting. We're getting more data every hour. And I am analyzing every new model run as it comes in. I am going to keep putting out videos. I am going to go live multiple times. I am going to keep you updated every step of the way. This is a historic winter storm. Multiple states are going to see significant impacts. Millions of people are in the path, and the next 72 hours are critical. Prepare today, stay informed, stay safe. Don't take unnecessary risks, and whatever you do, don't ignore this storm thinking it's just hype. Weather forecasters don't use words like catastrophic and devastating lightly. The National Weather Service doesn't use historic in their forecast discussions without good reason. This is real. This is happening, and you need to be ready. One more thing before I go. Winter storms can be scary, especially when you're talking about power outages and ice accumulation. But fear is not productive. Preparation is productive. Take action today. Get your supplies. Make your plans. Know where your flashlights are. Know how to operate your generator safely. Know where the nearest warming shelter is if you need it. Knowledge and preparation reduce fear. You've got this. You're going to get through this. And I am going to be here with you every step of the way providing updates. The storm arrives Saturday night. By Monday night, it's finally going to be moving out. And on Tuesday, we are going to wake up to a very different landscape. Snow piled high in some areas, ice coating everything in other areas, cold temperatures, but the storm will be over. And we'll start the recovery process. We'll dig out, we'll help each other, and we'll get through it together. Because that S, what we do, that S, how communities respond to natural disasters. We pull together, we help our neighbors, we share resources, and we come out stronger on the other side. So here is your action plan. Today, Thursday, finalize all preparations. Get your supplies, charge your devices, fill your gas tank, test your generator, make sure you have what you need. Tomorrow, Friday, stay updated on the forecast. Watch for any last-minute changes. Complete any outdoor tasks that need to be done before the storm hits. Secure loose items. Trim tree branches that are close to power lines if you can do so safely. Saturday, hunker down. Don't travel unless absolutely necessary. Stay home. Stay warm. Stay safe. Sunday and Monday, ride it out. Stay inside. Don't venture out unless it's an emergency. Let the storm pass. Let the road crews do their work. Tuesday, assess and recover. The next video I am putting out, I am going to show you the hour-by-hour timeline, exactly when the snow starts in each city, exactly when the ice starts, exactly when conditions are at their worst. That level of detail is coming. But I wanted to get this overview to you first so you understand the big picture, so you understand the scope of what we are dealing with. This is not a typical winter storm. This is a multi-state, multi-day, high-impact weather event. Treat it with the seriousness it deserves. And remember, weather is unpredictable. Models change. Forecasts evolve. What I'm telling you right now is based on the best information available. But things could shift. That cutoff line between snow and ice could move. Totals could be higher or lower. That S why you keep checking back. That S why you stay updated. Don't just watch this video and think you redone. Keep monitoring the situation. Keep watching for updates. Keep reading the latest forecasts from the National Weather Service and from meteorologists who are tracking this storm closely. I'll see you in the next video where we break down the hour-by-hour timeline. And I'll be going live tonight to answer your questions. So subscribe if you haven't already. Turn on notifications so you don't miss anything. Follow me on social media for quick updates. And most importantly, stay safe out there. This is a dangerous storm, but if you were prepared, if you were informed, if you take it seriously, you are going to be fine. Take care of yourselves and take care of each other. That's the most important.